So I since it's pre-recorded, right? I'm gonna talk over the video. I don't know how you think we should do this.
Did you just click the start broadcast button?
Did I do that? No, I clicked. Or did I just do something wrong?
We've just started the broadcast. That's all right. If you can share your screen, we can get it started at the top of the hour. If you've got the content together in the PowerPoint, you can share that start slide.
Okay, so yeah, I should have did the dry run a little bit better than this. So I apologize on this. So you said click that. So it started the broadcast now, so people can join this.
Yes, yeah. So if you share your screen.
Give me a second here, guy. Is this all being recorded too right now?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not good. Is there any way that we could stop this?
We not really now. We've got some attendees waiting, so.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pull up the project so we have that on the back of the screen. Are you not gonna share your screen first?
No, if you share yours, you're the presenter. So if you share your share the slides or whatever you had set up.
Okay. Man, I really wish I didn't press that.
Hi everybody. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We're having some issues with the screen sharing, but I will introduce the webinar while Spencer gets his screen set up and ready to go. Welcome to today's Tech Tips webinar. I'm joined by Spencer, one of our A's in the US, and today he's going to be showcasing a workflow in Geomagic for SolidWorks that can be really useful in designing aftermarket automotive parts based on existing components and using some of the tools that you've got available in SolidWorks to help you do this. A couple of housekeeping bits. I know a bit rich coming from us because we are struggling with the tech today, but if you have any questions throughout the webinar, on the GoToWebinar control panel, there is a questions tab. Feel free to drop your questions in there as we run through the demonstration, and Spencer will answer them as best he can at the end. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Spencer if you've got the screen share ready to go.
Yeah, I do. So yeah, like Guy said, we're struggling a little. I'm struggling on my side here a little bit to share, and we're a little bit early, so bear with me here. What I can do, and hey Guy, do you see? Is everyone here that was going to attend, or?
Yeah. I think there's a few people jumping in, but if we make a start, then people will join as they join.
Okay, so as we can see here, what and you guys can see the screen now, right?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, so what I wanted to show first is a clip of us scanning directly inside of Geo for SolidWorks. We connect to a range of hardware, and the purpose about connecting into the software is that we can measure directly here and not have to import and export. But that being said, there's other softwares out there and hardware out there that we can import directly into Geo for SolidWorks. The whole idea about having our software as a plugin within SolidWorks is that we can utilize the scan data. And as you can see here, right, we're scanning in as a point cloud, and then we can do a merge, or we can do different functionality there. But the biggest thing here is to utilize the data. I know this isn't an aftermarket part for automotive, but what you can see here is a steering knuckle. So we had scan data that was based off of this. You know, with a steering knuckle, we can do ride height, we can do suspension mounting, we can change, you know, wheel clearance. We can see how we can mount, redesign calipers. We can change the camber and toe of the wheelbase. There's just so many things that we can do, but it's all based off of, you know, positioning of the scan data. So what you see here now is you see that we have a top and a bottom of the wheel knuckle. What we're going to do is we're going to have a fixed scan set, which will be number one, and then we're going to have a moving scan set of number two. When you scan something, you want to have overlapping features so that we can, you know, pick certain points on the scan data that will allow us to, or will allow Geo for SolidWorks to do a best fit algorithm. As you see here, I'm kind of just turning around the part to find similar features here. Let me pick this one here. Right, so you can see that those were the similar sides. So it's very important to scan overlapping features. And I'm going to do an align, and then now the software is going to do a best fit algorithm. You can see how quickly it snaps to each other. Right, and then so what we want to do here after we accept this, I'm going to do an optimize alignment. Once I show you, I'm going to open up the triangles here and give you an idea of what the merge and the optimize alignment is doing. At the moment, these are two separate meshes that are just aligned. But what we really want to do is we want to combine it as one mesh. You can see here when I zoom in, there's still some overlap. So when I merge, what's going to happen now is you're going to see the triangles come together. it's going to be one single object. And this will just help us with all our different functionality with the feature-based modeling, with our region grouping, with our auto surfacing. So let this run real quick. And as you can see now, right, we have one single mesh and it's nice and layered. And now we can start running different processes. The goal here now is we need to get the scan data to the SolidWorks origin. And how we do this is we run a region group. What region groups does is it goes out and it takes curvature analysis and allocates features to the part. So a sphere is a sphere, a plane is a plane, a cylinder is a cylinder. So what this does is this really helps us get to the point where what we want to do. You know, so if I wanted to take for instance here, what I need to do is build a plane. Let me build a plane here. And so what this is doing is I'm building features to then use to guide the software or guide the scan data to the software's origin. So you can see how easy that is to pick that region and then go into my next step here. So we need to build a vector. And the vector is going to do now is it's going to be an intersection between the plane and the vector, and then I'm going to build a point. But so since Geo for SolidWorks sits inside of native SolidWorks, I can always bounce back into normal SolidWorks and build features that way. So when I go back into the features here, I'm going to build a point from the intersection of the line and the plane. And you can just see how fast this is that we can utilize data to then now build different features that we can redesign off of. So now that I have my XYZ position, what I do need to do now is lock down my 6th degree of freedom. So I'm going to build one more vector where the suspension mounting cylinders are. And I'm going to accept this. And just like before, you can see how fast the regions help us design and build features here. So once I have the features, I can come into my orient mesh now. And I'm going to tell it that the origin is the point that we created from the intersection. And as you can see here, this is where the original origin was from the scan data. And now we're bringing it to the SolidWorks origin to then help us redesign and do different functionality on that. As you can see, the Z's flip, so I would flip that with the flip button there, and then I'm going to lock down my 6th degree of freedom with the access here. I'm going to hit accept. And so when I built these features, they were out in space, and I used them to bring the mesh to SolidWorks origin. So just really easily, I can come in and delete these. Okay, so from here, we can do a couple different things. So as you can see, we're aligned to the world. Now I have, my nominal values here. What I want to show is a few different things in SolidWorks. I want to show kind of how I would go about building this and using it to redesign some of those points that I made before. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to build a couple reference geometries, right? So in the suspension bracket area here, we can build planes really quickly. We can build vectors and then center points that I can then bring back into my native SolidWorks and design off of with that true position. So give me a second here and let me run through a couple features. I'm going to build a vector between where the suspension mounts stay. Nope. Let me get a little better selection here. Right, and from there, just like before, how I mentioned that we're a plugin that sits inside of native SolidWorks, so I can always go back into my SolidWorks program and build features that are designed to then reverse engineer something that you want with a really nice positioning and the confidence that you're building it right the first time. From here, what I was going to show now is an auto surface. So in SolidWorks, what we can do, right, is we can actually lay down NURB surfaces that will very accurately portray how the part is. So if you can see this, the steering knuckle, it's an organic. There's a lot of organic shapes, but there's also some hard mounting points. I don't know if everyone would want to take time to model these. You can do that, but I wanted to show that the auto surface here can quickly give us a surface body that we can then use in an assembly. We could do different functionality with it now that it's a solid. So let this run for a second. And so with this, so now I have a vector. I have my two planes. I have 2 points created. I have 2 points created. And you'll see here now that we have an auto surface generated. Right, and if I turn on my CAD edges here, we can have a better idea of what that NURB surface looks like. So as you can see here, these are 4-sided NURB surfaces that pretty much shrink wrap the initial scan data. What I want to show now too is that we can do a deviation analysis from this. If I go into my deviation analysis, we can see how accurately the software built surface data to the underlying scan data. Right now that 0.3 mil is, we're about 10 thou on here. So, but I can easily change that and give any tolerance that I want to this. So you can see how accurate that surface data is created to represent the physical part. And now I do have a solid model that I can bring into my native SolidWorks and use for assembly and different functionality for this. One of the last things I want to show today is how we can rearrange for instance, that the axle that's on top of the steering knuckle, what we can do is we can build reference geometry to then take a cross section, and that cross section will then give us a guideline of how the scan data is represented. So for instance, right, you can see here there's a couple of cylinders, there's stones, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to build some reference geometry using the region groups. I'm going to build a vector on the cylinder where the bearing sits. And now I'm going to go back into native SolidWorks and do a perpendicular plane using that reference geometry that we made from the scan data. So from here, now that we have a cross-section plane of the axle on the steering knuckle, what we can do is we can go into our cross-section tool. And this cross-section, we have a couple different options. We can have a polyline, we can have the software build lines and arcs, or we can have the software build splines. So what I want to do here is I want to have a limited selection of just the axle portion of the steering knuckle. So I'm gonna have a box selection here, and pretty much just left mouse button here and click here, where I'm going to select a certain amount of polygons that I want the software to then go out and have a cross section of. So I'm going to fit splines and arcs. And so for something like this, this would be the purpose of this application here is because I don't want to change the size of where my bearing's sitting, but I might want to change the wheel clearance, or I might want to just, switch up a little bit um, of some of my camper and toe of the wheel alignment here. So, I can go into more of a SolidWorks kind of workflow and all the drawings, but what I really wanted to show was just how quick and functionable it is to utilize scan data inside your native package. And another thing I want to mention is that, all these tools, as you can see here, we're not learning a different software. We're just utilizing the scan data. It depends on how you're going to get the scan data inside of the software, right? And depending on what hardware you have. But the beauty of Geo for SolidWorks inside of native SolidWorks is that we can, utilize the knowledge that we have, but also utilize measured data that we can accurately build features from, take cross sections from, and really kind of just redesign what we have to measure here. Guy, is there any questions that you see so far?
No, I can't see any here. Has anyone got any questions about this workflow, about Geomagic for SolidWorks? It doesn't look like.
I apologize too for clicking the button a little too early on the presenting. So if there is any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and then we could do a little bit of more of a deep dive on some of the workflow that you've seen. I'm going to keep going through this, but what we have to know is that you guys can reach out to us anytime. I'm going to stop presenting now. Guys, do you have anything else for us to see here? I don't see any questions on my end.
No, I think I think all good. Oh, we've got one here. With the auto surface, is it not necessary to heal the mesh first?
Well, so it depends on what you want to do with that. So when I did the auto surface, the mesh that we had was pretty well done. I'm not too worried about how well the surface is. I'm just worried more about volume. And it is maybe wise to then do a repair. And as you can see too, right? There's a lot of different polygon editing tools. But for the focus of what I had was more of a volume, and then pulling those features to then redesign off of.
Great. I think that is the only question. If anyone else has a question, then please feel free to reach out to us after the webinar. Head to the Octon website and use the contact us form, or reach out to your contact here if you're already an existing customer. Thank you very much for joining, and we will see you this time next month for the next Geomagic Tech Tips webinar.
Thank you, everyone.